Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. Today I have a very tactical and impressive chess game to share, played between the Torch chess engine and me. In this game, I sacrificed my pieces on the king side to launch a heavy attack on Torch. Torch is the second-ranked chess engine in the world, known for its high-depth accuracy and being one of the most recent chess computers. So let's get started without wasting any time. I began the game with e4, Torch responded with c5, indicating the Sicilian defense, where I could play knight f3 and d4, opting for the open variation. Instead, I played c3, aiming for the Alapin variation, which is playable and typically met with moves like pawn or knight development. However, Torch played queen a5. What? Did it go mad after drinking Coca-Cola, bringing out the queen like an amateur? While it prevents me from playing d4, it also exposes the queen early, which is an unusual move. A few moves later, Torch played e6, considering d5 to open the diagonal for the bishop and potentially place the knight on c6. Recognizing this, I decided to go with bishop d3, planning to position my bishop on c2 in the next move, providing a significant outpost and allowing me to play d4 consequently. Torch responded with d5, striking in the center, and after the pawn exchanges, the king became slightly exposed. With most of its pieces passive, it had to develop all its pieces urgently, much like a student cramming for exams because they haven't studied or even looked at the syllabus. This happens often because geniuses, according to some, are lazy. A few moves later, I placed my bishop on c2, preparing to play d4. Torch moved its bishop to d6, planning to play bishop g4 next, followed by knight e5 to attack my knight. So, I responded with d4, striking in the center. Many amateur chess players might think of capturing the d4 pawn, but it's a bad move because after the capture, if the knight goes to e7 to protect the knight brothers and castle short, I will play rook e1. After castling, queen h5 will arrive to attack the h7 pawn. The reason I planted my bishop on d3 long ago was to target the h7 pawn. If Torch plays g6, it would be the best move, like placing a brave soldier in front of the army. However, if it considers h6, it would be disastrous because if I capture regardless of the knight recapture, I can play the stunning move bishop takes h6. This powerful move leads to checkmate after exchanges and queen h7 check. Black would then have to consider f5, having no other option. After queen g6 check, king g8, rook e3 would come on the board, and rook h3 would lead to checkmate. The black king would be completely exposed, akin to a corrupted politician exposing all his deeds on live camera. Going back to the game, we discovered that capturing the d4 pawn is not a viable option. Torch then pushed its pawn to c4, closing the structure. However, after I played rook e1 check, the black king was exposed. Some might consider playing bishop e6, but it's vulnerable because the bishop can be attacked by the knight on g5, leading to a loss of the bishop and a favorable position for me. Torch tried to bring the knight to e7, with both knights protecting each other like loyal friends. I played a tactical move, knight g5, attacking the h7 pawn and preventing black from castling. Torch responded with h6. Here, try to pause the video and figure out what white should play in this position. Think a little bit. Many chess players might consider knight takes f7, sacrificing the knight immediately, thinking of themselves as Garry Kasparov. However, after g6, the black pieces protect the king, and the attack fails. So, I played queen h5 because capturing the knight would leave the rook under attack. Don't regret your missteps. You can become a strong chess player by subscribing to my channel, which will make you as powerful as a rock in front of a glass. So, after castling, Torch didn't capture my knight because he knew that capturing it would lead to a queen h7 checkmate. Many chess players might think that playing knight d2 is a desirable move, but it's actually a wasteful one, like hiding your face in a dustbin after getting insulted in public, because black can respond with bishop f5. Instead, I played a cunning move that surprised Torch and drained his battery, knight h7, attacking the rook immediately. Torch moved his rook, but instead of rook e8. The best move for black would be a cunning one. You might pause the video here and try to figure it out. I know you can't find it because you aren't at my level. More at Torch's. The best move is knight takes d4, sacrificing the knight right away. the knight attacks the rook, and Torch's knight attacks the bishop, forking the two rooks. Additionally, capturing the black knight isn't an option because black can capture my rook, leading to a back-rank checkmate like a 200 elo player might suffer. So, let me share a beautiful motivational quote with you. Stop trying to make people understand you, live your happiest life, the people who love you won't need explanations. So, what should I do in this position? The best move here might shock you, so hold on to your seat or bed. I played bishop takes h6, sacrificing the bishop like a champion because I have 60 Olympic gold medals for sacrificing pieces. Mikhail Tal has 59 because I am the ultimate soul of Mikhail Tal. Knight takes c2 seems reasonable for Torch, and white can respond with queen g5, threatening checkmate on the next move. When the knight blocks, knight f6 check arrives on the board. Capturing the knight would result in a checkmate in a few moves. So after the king moves, the knight attacks the g7 pawn. You can't capture the bishop, and after a few moves, the bishop positions itself for queen h6, followed by knight f6, leading to checkmate. Despite this, white will get only a 2.4 advantage because black can protect his position by playing bishop f5, attacking my rooks, and moving his queen back to d8, but in our actual game, Torch didn't play knight takes d4 because he isn't as smart as me. There is only one principal in the university, and I am the principal of the chess university, where all of you are my students, and Torch is just my tea servant. This is why he played rook e8 to protect his rook. But I said, you are trying to protect your rook, but look at my grace, I am more determined to sacrifice my piece. Knight f6 came on the board, and if you dare to not capture the knight and play any king move like king f8, which might be desirable for many chess players, you know I can sacrifice my queen in Mikhail Tal's style. Queen takes h6, and this sacrifice is crucial. Imagine that Mikhail Tal sacrificed his queen exactly like this because bishop takes h6 would lead to a checkmate. Now black has to do something. After blocking with his bishop, I can give him a check, repeat one move, and then play queen h8, forcing him to block with the knight. I can capture the knight, and after that, can you guess white's next move? Pause the video and try to figure it out. If you can't find any moves, I'll give you a few seconds because you are my lovely subscriber, though not as lovely as Leela Zero, but the best move would be rook takes e6, sacrificing the rook on the board. Have you ever sacrificed your rook like this? Don't forget to comment on this video, because after black captures the rook, queen e6 check, and queen d7 leads to a checkmate. What an astonishing game and variation it was. Going back, we discovered that capturing the knight or playing king f8 is a very bad choice. Another possible move might be thought of by many amateur players like Ding Liren or Hikaru Nakamura, who are just 9 months of children in front of me. King h8, then I can play a stunning move, noticing the bishop pair slightly attacking the black king. I can actually capture the pawn on h6, after g6, bishop check, knight capture, and as the king moves, queen h6 will lead to a checkmate on the next move. How can you protect it? There is no way, like when you get out of bed at midnight to go to the toilet and see a ghost in front of your door. No matter what you do, your pants get wet like a fearful child. Going back to the position, we discovered that any king move results in a very bad situation. This is why Torch just captured my knight, because every time I sacrifice my piece, you have to capture it. There is no other option. Some might consider queen takes h6, but it's a vulnerable move because black can respond with bishop f5, protecting the diagonal. You will see that along with the knight, the king's position will be very safe and secure. White's single queen cannot checkmate black, which would be a deficiency in your position. So, going back to the position, we discover that queen takes h6 is a very vulnerable move, like a snake eating its own tail, thinking that it was a lengthy rat. The best move would be bishop to h7 check, sacrificing the bishop right away. As I told you, the king still cannot move to these squares because queen takes h6 will lead to a checkmate. In this position, if you consider king h8, I can still capture the pawn, leading to a checkmate in just 5 moves. The game will be over. So, going back to the position, Torch just captured the bishop on h7, the best move. After queen takes f7, the king gets extremely exposed after I sacrifice my two pieces. Queen takes f6 comes on the board, and the king cannot go to the g8 square because of bishop takes h6, which will lead to a checkmate on the next move. Playing na5 would not protect your position because rook takes c8 will lose your rook and the game sooner. Going back to the position, Torch didn't consider king g8, instead, we have king to h7, the best move on the board. After the queen captured, the king goes back, we have queen to g5 check, creating pressure on the knight, and the rook file gets extremely open. You can see that the black king is also very exposed. The king still cannot go to f8 because after queen f6, the king goes here, and bishop to h6 will lead to the same variation where you will lose the game in the same way, like a man getting the same result in his every deed, but refusing to change his work or the attachments created by his mind and ego. That is just spiritual stuff that you need some square to understand, not IQ. So here we have king to f7, and after queen to h5 check on the board, the rook is under attack. You still cannot play king f8 to protect the rook because you know what, bishop to h6 check, the king goes there, and queen to g5 check, followed by queen to g7 on the next move, will lead to a checkmate. So, after the king goes to f7, followed by queen g7, that will lead to a checkmate. As I told you many times, don't make the same mistakes in chess and fall into the same traps. Try to analyze your games and correct your mistakes. So, let me share a precious quote about life and people. Nobody's perfect. We all fall down. What matters most is how quickly we get back up, learn from our mistakes, and move on. Alright, going back to the position, noticing that the rook cannot be saved, we have knight blocks on g6, good move. After queen to h7 happens on the board, checking the king, the rook is under attack. King f8 might be a desirable move for many chess players, but you again fall in the mud in a rainy season when you went for a travel. Bishop h6 will lead to a checkmate, and you will come home with your face and clothes dirty. Going back to the position, the rook cannot be saved because the king is completely exposed on the board. We have king f6 and rook capturing on e8, and you can see that your black king is completely exposed, like your secret bunker exposed to your enemy, and you are the only one hiding in the bunker, trapped by many soldiers. What should you do? Torch played queen c7 for a queen exchange, but I just showed him my middle finger because I am at 7th heaven, feeling the bliss that your king is in a deadly situation. Torch played king f7, and at this point, playing knight a3 would be the best move, sacrificing the rook right away, but I just moved back my rook on e3, which is completely playable because rook to f3 is coming. So, we have bishop f5 followed by rook f3, attacking the bishop. We have knight e7 to protect the bishop, and after queen h7 check happens on the board, king moving back to e8 would be reasonable for many chess players, but you know what, after capture and recapture, I can just capture your knight on g6, and after you block it with your queen, I can capture it. After recapture, you can see that I have 3 connected passed pawns, which is just winning for me, like at the end of the day when I dig the ground continuously and find treasure, diamonds, and jewelry. Do hard work, and you will get the treasure, but make sure you work in the right direction. Most people work hard for useless things like stones and wood. You have to work for diamonds of knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Going back to the position, king e8 is a very bad choice, which is why we have king to f6. The king is too materially attached to his family and possessions. Let me break his attachment by playing g4, attacking the bishop. After the rook moves and captures, I sacrifice my rook on the f5 square because after you capture, we have queen to h5 check. As the king moves back to protect the knight, we have bishop g5 check on the board. Where should the black king go? If the king goes to f7, I can still play a check on the h7 square. Your knight will be under attack, and I will win the knight on the next move. That's the deficiency of your position. Going back to the position, noticing that the knight cannot be protected, we have king to e6, and I capture the knight. Blocking with the rook would be a very bad choice, so the king moves back, and we have bishop h6 and bishop g5 on the board. After a couple of moves, we have rook f8, and you can see that with my bishop and extra pieces, I am just winning the game. He just captured the pawn, and the queen goes to g3. It looks like Torch just got my king in his way. I mean, he is going to checkmate me. But he does not know that his own queen is under attack by my own queen, which is why I slap him by capturing the queen, after capture and recapture. You can see that I have an extra piece, and I am completely winning the game. So, after a couple of moves, we have king here and knight g5 on the board. After a few more moves, you can see that we have exchanges on the c3 square, which is a very good move to consider. My king is advancing, and the pawn on d6 is also advancing on the board. We have some exchanges, and I finally win the queen. This will lead to a checkmate in a few moves, and that's exactly what happens in the game. So, that was a very good and brilliant game. I hope you enjoyed it very much. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Wishing you all the best. Bye bye, see ya, take care.